Yes, and kind of where we're kind of doing the wrap up and saying, okay, what's the reasoning for all this? And, we understand a little bit about the how and where to file, but I was going to give you a little bit of a tidbit too and there's not necessarily a slide per se, but we know that the push is that we have a lot of tax ID theft that's coming out of various parts of the world. It's affecting the IRS. It's affecting our clients on a very rapid pace. So since ID theft is a growing problem, they've implemented the ability to not show the entire identification number on some copies of the 1099 forms. So just know and kind of be aware of this and be very careful and kind of be sensitive with that data. So even though they say, okay, you may truncate the payer information, Social Security numbers, individual, tax ID numbers, etc., you want to go ahead and adopt that would be my recommendation. Again, IRS copy, Social Security copy, those ones that have to be reported do need that information, but when we look at the ones going out to maybe the client, etc., to be just aware of that, that's where a lot of the ID theft can occur right at the very beginning. Is they can get that information right from a form, get somebody's social and address and name and all this important information. So that's one way that we can have a way of preventing that is just removing it. Truncating is where you put asterisks or you put X's in place of the first 5 digits of the ID number and only carry the last 4 digits of the number. So, it does carry good and bad. The person receiving it may not have an idea that that there's an error in the first 5 digits because they're all X'd out, but it is in a way to try to prevent some of that ID theft, ID fraud, basically. So as we look at, there's so many different, oh my gosh, there's just so many different exceptions and things. So what I would recommend here is definitely as we look at the individual, the employee and versus independent contractor, that's a really great course because you at least first have to say, is this person a contractor? Is this an employee? Maybe that's what helps to stop that particular question right at the source. And then looking into the W-2 reporting has to be done right. If it's allowances, if it's reimbursements, gifts, bonuses, those are all covered within the W-2 reporting. So that will help to kind of prevent that. So a lot of this is just learning about ways to prevent some of the common issues, you can say. So what we've really concentrated on, what we've gone through a lot in this course, and this is basically part 1 of 3. There's a lot of really great material coming out in part 2 and 3 that's also going to help you along in this path. What we've gone through is a lot of the legal requirements, the legislation, the logic behind why are they doing so much information reporting? What is this whole 1099 thing? What's its purpose, basically? How we file, so being careful about the data we put on there because we have to be aware that it has to be on those red line forms, it's going to be scanned, that we need to be filling them out properly or we're going to have problems with it being accepted timely anyway. Where to file them, so there's really only the 2 addresses and a lot of that's going to come from just looking at the instructions. It's going to guide you to where those are. And if you want to, and I highly recommend downloading my manual, has all of what we talked about in this course laid out with some even more details that we didn't cover. Who it is that gets a 1099. So there are some generics, and we could say, generically $600 non-corporation, but then for those different types of payments that are covered by some of those forms we listed, then those go into exceptions saying, well, it doesn't really matter if you're a corporation. It doesn't really matter if you pay, over $600. They're going to have dollar exceptions and reasons that you have to send them out anyway. So looking at those exceptions, that's going to help to guide you along, okay, do I have to issue a 1099? And then from there, for even more and more detail, what we have is in the part 2, we're going to actually cover the specific rules about each of those different forms. There are, I believe, 19 different 1099 forms that we'll cover. So we'll cover each of those different types of 1099s. So you'll be acquainted with what's supposed to go in those boxes, who do you have to issue to very specifically, and how to actually create those forms. How to make corrections. Not that, errors ever happen, but we got to know how to make those corrections properly as well. In the last part of it, we do cover compliance, penalties, additional reporting, also a little bit of what happens if it goes really south and the client comes to you and it's way after the deadline, now they're going to have a penalty. Is there any hope? Can we help with that penalty? So we're going to talk about backup withholding, if that's not something you've ever encountered before. All this relates in the kind of the big giant world of information reporting. So That's all some great things that we have coming up. I'm going to pass this over one last time to Jeff. I'm really, really super glad that you guys decided to tune in on this. I'm hoping at this point you have a little bit of a glimmer of some new things you didn't know before about 1099 and information reporting, but I encourage you to go to the other, part 2, part 3, pick up a little bit more, and that way you'll have the confidence to prepare your reports and forms correctly and do it right every time to avoid those penalties. So, Jeff, it is all yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Tanya, for that. And that is an outstanding introduction into this area that is of a concern to just about every accountant, and certainly those dealing with anything related to taxes. And as always, great background information. Again, we do hope that you'll join us on other sections of this course. The part 2 and part 3, again, this is designed, and Tanya has designed this as a 4-part course to be inclusive, to give you kind of the information. And we hope that you'll attend both those other courses. You can find that information here. You can see how to access those other courses and get on and attend. Additionally, we also have the community, which we encourage you to attend to continue the conversation, ask specific questions of other practitioners, and other folks just as you're dealing with real life situations. That's where we're putting that information to create a community for people to be able to get those answers for those questions. Say you have, an employee with a 1099 and a W-2 and you forget and say, hey, what am I supposed to do here? So there's lots of great information there. We appreciate having Tanya on. We love having her present as always. Sure that you learned a whole lot, and if we've got Tanya's information there as well, if you'd like to reach out to her specifically, again, that website, as you can see in the slides, to access her manual for a quick guide that will be also mentioned in the other sections of this course. Thank you so much, Tanya, for attending, and thank you. We hope to see you on a future webinar.